Good morning, everyone. We're so excited to be hosting our first Veterans Day program, and we're so excited that the Totowi tribe, one of our 6 tribes in our nation, is sponsoring this event this morning. So students, we're super proud of your hard work, and we're so excited to share this morning with our veterans. I'm Mrs. Joey Moss, and I'm your school's principal, and we're thankful to have you with us this morning. We're looking forward to our program and to be able to show our gratitude and our thanks to you for your service. We have grandparents, we have parents, we have aunts, uncles, we might even have a great-grandparent in the audience, but also friends and neighbors. And this is just one of our ways that we can give back to you and say our thanks. This morning, we have the Etowah High School Air Force JROTC presenting the colors. Commanding today's color guard is Cadet Captain Kyle Rafferty. The Georgia flag is Cadet Captain Janisa Stephens. Lead rifle is Cadet Airman Michael Pillagin. And in the rear position cadet is Captain Sarah Kinder.
Please stand for the presentation of the flag.
Please be seated.
When Francis Scott Key wrote the Star-Spangled Banner almost 200 years ago, he called America the land of the free and the home of the brave. Those words are as true today as they were then. Sunday, November 11th, 2018, our nation celebrated the holiday called Veterans Day. To mark this important holiday, we are pleased to honor the men and women of our armed forces. Each and every day, countless sacrifices are made by the brave men and women in our armed forces to protect the many freedoms that each of us enjoy. Today, we salute you. We are honored to have the veterans among us, and many of you in this audience may have friends and family that have served or are currently serving in the armed forces right now. To the veterans that are here with us today, and to the families of veterans, we thank you, and we will not forget the sacrifices that you have made for each of us. World War I officially ended on June 28, 1919, in the town of Versailles, France. However, fighting ceased 7 months earlier on the Artemis went into effect on the 11th hour, the 11th day, and the 11th month. In November 1919, President Woodrow Wilson proclaimed November 11th as the first commemoration of Armistice Day. If the idealistic hope had been realized that World War I was the war to end all wars, November 11th might still be called Armistice Day. But in 1954, President Dwight D. Eisenhower changed the name to Veterans Day so that we can honor all veterans. We would now like to turn the microphone over to our principal, Ms. Joey Moss, who is going to introduce the keynote speaker for our assembly today.
This morning, I not only have the honor of welcoming each of you, but I have the honor of introducing one of our very own veterans to Clark Creek Elementary. Mr. Jonathan Hall, who is one of our assistant principals here, is going to be providing our keynote speech this morning. And I'm looking forward to hearing it, but I'm also super honored to be able to tell you a little bit more about his history. Private Jonathan Hall began his military training in the Army back in 1990 of June, when he took a semester off at Ball State University to attend basic training at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. At the completion of his basic training, Private Hall went to advanced individual training at Fort Benjamin Harrison, Indianapolis, Indiana, to become a paralegal specialist. Private Hall then later returned to Ball State University to complete his bachelor's degree, and later he and his wife moved to Georgia, where they began teaching for Cherokee County School District. Over the next several years, now Specialist and soon-to-be Sergeant Hall continued his military education along with his civilian education, completing numerous military leadership courses and court reporter school, at the same time completing his master's and specialist degrees in special education and educational leadership. In July 2011, Sergeant First Class Hall was named Senior Paralegal for the 642nd Regional Support Group, which was deployed for 9 months to the camp of Arif Jan, Kuwait, where Sergeant Hall served as a court reporter for several court-martials in Iraq, Kuwait, and Afghanistan. Upon his return to Georgia, Sergeant First Class Hall was promoted to Master Sergeant Hall and was assigned as Chief Paralegal of the 134th Legal Operations Detachment at Fort Bragg, North Carolina for 3 years. He is now back with the 213th Legal Operations Detachment as chief paralegal, where he began his military career in Georgia over 26 years ago. Master Sergeant Hall will complete 29 years of military service in January 2019. He has been awarded several decorations and badges throughout his career, and we are thankful for his service. Mr. Hall.
Thank you. Ordinary people accomplishing extraordinary things. Simply put, that's who veterans are. Young and old, rich and poor, black and white, and nearly every category in between. They are men and women who served or still serve America. Some have endured great hardships, separations from family, and drastically altered lifestyles. Some have experienced the horrors of war. All sacrificed something so much that we can enjoy the freedoms we have today. It would be a stretch to believe that these extraordinary accomplishments are mere coincidences and not due to the discipline, motivation skills, calmness under pressure, and other leadership traits that are instilled in every man and woman that has served in the greatest military force on the planet. When then Governor Ronald Reagan introduced returning POW John McCain at a speaking engagement in 1974, not many were born probably in 74 here, I was. The future president asked, "Where do we find such men?" He was speaking of many veterans when he answered, "We find them in our streets, in our offices, the shops and working places of our country, and on our farms." In other words, President Reagan was referring to ordinary people accomplishing extraordinary things. It is America, not America's military, that Al-Qaeda and other terrorists have declared war on, but it is the armed forces that carry the great burden and responsibility of defending us. Fortunately, our military is made up of ordinary people accomplishing extraordinary things. Fewer than 10% of Americans can claim the title military veteran. And what a list of accomplishments can those 10% claim? From defeating communism, fascism, imperialism, to keeping the peace during the Cold War and battling terrorism today. America owes a great debt to her veterans that can never be repaid. When remembering the millions of people who have been liberated by American forces around the globe from history's most evil oppressor, Winston Churchill's words about the Battle of Britain come to mind. Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few. Today, it's important because we choose to honor living veterans from the greatest generation to the latest generation. But we must honor them with deeds, not with words, not just words. We must heed the words of our first Commander-in-Chief, General George Washington, who said, "The willingness with which our young people will fight in any war, no matter how justified, shall be directly proportional as to how they perceive the veterans of earlier wars were treated and appreciated by their country." Born of their extraordinary accomplishment comes our extraordinary debt. And part of that debt is owed to our military families who have sacrificed so much for their country. We must honor all these families, and not just with blue and gold star banners, but with compassionate hearts. PTSD, traumatic brain injury, and life-altering war wounds not only affect the veterans, but also can take an enormous toll on their family as well. While veterans are often ordinary people who accomplish extraordinary things, it is often an extraordinary family that supports these ordinary veterans. And it is the veterans that have given us this extraordinary country. God bless you for being here. God bless our veterans, and God bless America. If you have not had a chance to, the Georgia National Cemetery every year does Wreaths Across America, and that is going to be December 15th. So if you have not had the opportunity, that's a very special thing to do.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. We are all inspired by your service to our country. Throughout this nation's history, America's soldiers, airmen, Marines, and Coast Guardmen have bravely answered the call to defend our freedom, to aid our friends and allies, and to turn back aggressors. We can never fully repay our debt of gratitude to the American service members who fought, died in battle, or were wounded.
We can, however, recognize and thank the veterans still living today. We have created a special video tribute entitled Thank You to Our Veterans in honor of friends and family members of our school community who have so bravely protected our freedoms through their service in the American Army.
No hesitation held them back. They were proud to take a stand. They left their friends and family. They gave up normal life to serve their country. They plowed into the strife. They fought for freedom and for peace on strange and foreign shores.
Some lost new friends, some lost their lives in long, brutal wars. Other veterans answered a call to support the ones who fought. Their country had requirements for the essential skills they brought.
This Veterans Day, we salute each and every one of them, the noble and the brave, the ones still with us here today, and the ones who rest in a grave. Thank you to our honored guests, the Board of Education members, parents and families. Thank you to our superintendent. Thank you to our principal, Miss Joey Moss, and other administrators, Miss Susan Bruno, Miss Lee Davis, and especially Mr. Jonathan Hall, who is also our keynote speaker. Thank you to all the students and teachers who are involved in
We would most especially like to thank our veterans for being here today. If you are a veteran of the armed forces, could you please stand so that we may recognize you at this time?
share a treat with their families following today's program in the Red Hot Cafe. Once again, on our entire school community's behalf, I thank you for being here today, and I thank you for your service to our country.
All right, thank you so much. So at this time, we're going to allow our veterans to go first, and your family members to the Red Hot Cafe. We have a small treat for you guys. And we're going to let you go first before all of this craziness happens. Thank you so much. Everyone else, stay seated.